Greetings and welcome to Old Drunken Discography, where old friends, fans come together to BS, argue, occasionally agree, and discuss a musical artist. This week's panel is Tim.
Howdy.
Myself, Jason, and the guy who picked Nickelback, Bill.
I like Nickelback. What can I say?
Each week we rotate out who picks what we're going to listen to. We rank all the albums. We give our top songs. This week it's Bill's pick, which means he holds the slap button.
If you want to get in on a pick, hit us down below.
Yeah.
Join the Discord.
Check out the Patreon if you want to choose the artist. Maybe even come on the show. We don't give a fuck. All right.
Come on.
This episode we are talking about the state. Somebody else start this one off. I started off the last one.
You know, I could start off the state here. So something I didn't mention on the last album that I meant to mention. I feel like Nickelback, with their openers and closers, struggle compared to other bands.
I'll give you they struggle with closers. I think so
Sure.
I think they have good
There's
openers.
a definite formula for both, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, some of their openers are okay.
They're trying on some of these openers, but not necessarily this one.
Yeah. I'll say this with Breathe. This one was a little bit of a grower for me as an opener. It grew on me a little bit over time. I wasn't a huge fan of the distortion, but as I listened to it more with time, I grew to be okay with it. Cowboy Hat. Now, this is the album where I feel like the mixing and production did not help them out at all. I feel like the mixing and production, especially on Cowboy Hat, didn't help out the song at all. It felt like there was parts where the vocals were way too loud, parts where the drums were too loud. Like, relatively speaking, it just didn't really... For me, it didn't sound like it mixed well. I could be completely ear blind, but that's just how it seemed like to me. Leader of Men, probably the one I like the best on this album. I like the beat. I like the guitar. I wish the vocals were slightly turned down volume-wise relative to everything else. Just to have some of the other stuff come through. Old Enough, I'm not a huge fan of, and I'm still looking for the guitar to actually show up.
We're going to be here a while then.
I know. Tell me about it. Worthy to Say, this one wasn't necessarily my vibe for Nickelback or a song. It just, I don't know, every time I listen to it, it's like I'm expecting something, it just never shows up. What I'm expecting, I don't know. It's not guitar on that one. I mean, I would still want the guitar to show up, but that's beside the point. Like, I don't know. It was... I'm waiting for that one to grow still on me. And I might be waiting 20 years, but who knows?
It doesn't sound like you're going to be able to answer my question on that.
I can do my best to. For digging this song happened. As a follow-up to Worthy to Say, I felt like it was okay, considering what it followed up. As a whole, I wasn't super digging the song, though. Deep. Yeah. That's how you sum it up. Yeah. But not actually. That one I feel like they oversimplified it a lot. Like, the guitar and the drums were just stupid repetitive. Not over repetitive. Stupid repetitive. And like, here's the thing, like, I know they have good musicians. I know the guitar, or their drums especially, could do fantastic things.
Well, we're still on an original drummer here, and then there's a ghost drummer who actually played on the album but isn't in the band.
That's
and then they changed drummers, what, fourth album?
That sounds right. Yeah.
I thought they had a different drummer on Silverside.
Yeah,
But I
they
could be
changed.
wrong. I
Yeah,
watched the movie, but it was so.
and according to the interwebs, which I'm going to believe for the purposes of this video, while somebody was credited as playing drums, there was a ghost drummer. Never heard of either dude, but
That's always good to see.
This is the album I think the documentary just kind of skipped over. They didn't really talk about it too much.
And it's not super surprising to me either, because this was the album that got released before Silverside that I was familiar with. And so it was actually after this album, I believe, that the one person went on late night talk show talking about Nickelback.
well, and I
And
remember, I was still living in the southern part of the United States at this time, and Leader of Men was doing pretty well regionally. Like I definitely remember that song being played on multiple radio stations.
oh, yeah. Well, and I'll say this actually, for me, for Leader of Men, the acoustic version that closed the album, I felt like was actually better than the one that was within the album on track 3. Just because we got a little bit more of the guitar coming through. And the vocalist was a little bit, I'll call it corrected in the acoustic version. Not saying it was completely corrected, but it was more corrected.
I'll agree with you on that one. I like the acoustic version better.
While One Last Run, I thought it had a kind of cool intro. I kind of like the flow of it and the vibe of it as well. Maybe my favorite song on the record. I'm not sure yet. I'm not leaving yet. And we're back to some mediocrity that beautifully summarizes this album for me. It just, I don't know. It sounds like elements of Nickelback.
Are you talking about Not Leaving Yet?
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
Kind of curious what's coming up here, but like it's, I don't know. I'm waiting for the Nickelback part to come through. I mean, hold out your hand.
It's there.
Oh, I liked it as an outro. Before Leader of Men. It was a decent end before the acoustic. What I was saying before, because if I remember right, this album was released, and shortly after, I forget who it was, went on to late night talk show, and I forget what it was. A comment of it was when Nickelback was still unknown as a band.
Is this the Nickelback Mason? That
yes.
comment?
Yes,
that was after this, I thought. Or no, sorry, I'll have to edit that out. The talk show where the guy said Nickelback makes me violent and makes me want to beat up Nickelback or something like that.
Oh, the only thing worse than listening to Nickelback is listening to Nickelback live or something like that. Yes. That was back. It was a late night talk show.
Yeah, I know. I saw the clip.
It wasn't Letterman, but I forget what one it was on.
It was probably Conan, if we're talking about 2000.
It was.
Yeah.
And that talk show is what made it popular to dislike Nickelback.
Yeah.
Which I'll say this as a person who likes Nickelback. These first 2 albums, I mean, I don't want to spoil what I'm going to rank stuff here, are probably the least liked Nickelback albums for a Nickelback fan as a whole, relatively speaking.
Interesting.
Especially compared to the next several ones.
Real interesting.
Yeah, that clip got like used in the commercial, so it was played a lot. So it built up steam. I thought that was after the State, though. I thought that was like
it was after the State. It was after the State was released.
This was the album where they started coming through, and then the next one is where they really broke.
The next one's the big one.
Silverside wasn't released yet. That I know. So it would have been either 99 or 2000 when that happened. Because
Okay.
at the time, Nickelback was still a relatively, quote, relatively unknown Canadian rock group.
They
And,
were a rock band in a sea of rock bands that all sounded the same and were vying for that brass ring
yep. Which,
of corporate sponsorship.
which, I mean, on the one hand, relatively speaking, to use the coin phrase, there is no such thing as bad publicity. That probably also helped Nickelback sell a lot of their upcoming records.
There were other factors at play that helped them sell other records.
Well, yeah, but
We'll
like
get to that.
it's one thing to have corporate and stuff at play. It's another thing to have the masses knowing you exist to assist in selling records as well. Because I mean, think about like late '90s, early 2000s, late night talk shows were still very popular, especially compared to what they are today. Today they're just Still people that pay attention to them, but not as much as they used to in the era of streaming and everything else.
I mean, yeah, even then though 2000s they were dead too. Talk shows really died when Carson retired, and then Letterman held it for a couple years, and then Jay Leno took over, and it all just kind of went to shit after that.
But Conan was still doing good shit.
Conan was still doing good stuff, and that's also when like the Daily Show started popping up, like especially in that decade, they were the comedy go-to.
Yeah. All right, well, let me go through my notes for the state, because I think, Bill, you're going to get a kick out of this.
All right, how many questions you got before you begin?
Well, I don't think you're going to answer my question, but
I can do my best.
I think I answered it myself, honestly. All right. Breathe. I liked this one better than than Curve. I thought it was a better intro. It's got some Bush vibes. It's not as cool as Everything's In. The lyrics started out pretty decent with two men. They started walking, started talking about better days. One says to the other, "We'll do it all again." But it quickly turns into generic dribble. Cowboy Hat, is this Nickelback trying to cover all the bases? Make sure they can hit that top country chart? These lyrics are awful, predictable, and simple as fuck. Leader of Men, slow and dragged on for way too long. Nothing happens until 1 minute and 44 seconds into the 3 minute and 30-second song. What does happen just sounds like 7 Mary 3. Don't go down to that water's edge, y'all. Old Enough, mid-tempo snooze fest. Holy shit, a guitar solo. Still a mid-tempo boring solo, but at least it exists. Worthy to say, what the fuck was this song about? Was Chad snitching? I told you they're growing dope everywhere around the block. You can smell it, you can tell it by the way they talk. Whatever, I didn't mind this one too much. So far, the best song on the record. One thing to point out, only narcs and people older than 70 now call it dope. So that was my question. Is he a snitch?
He's not a snitch.
Okay. That's just a weird... after listening to albums later, I realize it's just he uses weird words instead of the...
He does. Very much so.
Digging this. Oh, that intro. I bet it gets the barricades shaking at the concert. Deep. This is boring. One last run. Okay, this is okay. It has a little energy. I like the vocal melody contrast in the verses. The music is something I've heard before, but I can't place it. Something from the 80s. Top song contender. Not leaving yet. Sorry, I missed the first 2 minutes of this song because I was telling Bill how much I hate him in Discord. And here's a shameless plug. Come hang out with us in Discord. We talk music. We show off our vinyl. We have loads of fun. It's 100% free. Link is down below. It had a guitar solo, so that's something. Hold Out Your Hands, slow and droning, repetitive guitars. The drums are boring. I hate this so much. Leader of Men, I think the acoustic version was better than track 2, 3. Still kind of lame to have an acoustic version of the single as the closing track. Still better than Curb's closing track, I guess. It's no better than every other watered-down post-Pearl Jam, Soulless, Radio Ready, Godsmack, Papa Roach, Creed, Disturbed, Stain, Shinedown, See Their Puddle of Mud, Hinder, Three Doors Down, Eve 6 bullshit. If you like those bands, you should like Nickelback as well. Saying that, there was zero songwriting growth from the first album. If anything, I like this one less. Only one potential top song contender. I was excited when I saw they were the sole writers of the whole album. But by the end, I was like, maybe they do need some outside help to write some songs.
I like Papa Roach.
Yeah, we could have done them.
Godsmack's okay.
We could have done them too. I bet they have less than 10 albums.
Creed just does the same song every time, so let's be honest.
I don't ever want to do Creed.
I mean, at this point,
Tim, I'm curious. What did you think of this state though? This has been the one that I was kind of curious on with you.
I mean, I think it's better than the first album. But it feels weird saying it's better than, because it's not a good album. Everything that was wrong with the first album is wrong with this one. It felt a little better, though. I think, a little bit more money was put into production. But yeah, I don't like the guitar tone. I'm not really a fan of the dude's voice. I don't like the cat and back lyrics. The guitar riffs are all very binary. The rhythm section is not even worth mentioning. They're doing absolutely nothing that is interesting or unexpected. It's very predictable.
Yeah.
I thought it was better than the first one.
Yeah.
I can respect you for saying that.
All right. Let's get to the rankings. Everybody talked about that one, I think.
Yeah.
Bill, this is your pick. Who do you want to guess first?
Let's see here. I know what album I want to guess. Actually, I'm going to guess on this one because I know I want to guess on what the hell was
See,
it?
he planned ahead. Queens of the Stone Age. I fucked myself with Era. I didn't look ahead.
I'm pretty sure I want to guess this one.
All right.
I only planned ahead for the albums after this first round of guessing, though.
Okay.
So, for Jason, he's going to have it number 2.
You
And
are
Tim's going to
correct.
have it number 1 currently.
Damn, you got that one. That was an easy one.
Yep. And then for me, I will also have it number 2. Yeah, that's
Solidarity, brother.
I felt like this. I mean, it's just talking about the production. It could have been also the version I was listening to. Just because they've got a couple alternate covers. This one was also re-released because this one was fully self-produced.
Yeah.
And I wonder because I think
And
Roadrunner
it sounds like they figured out a couple things from the first album that they weren't happy with, and so they fixed them. But they didn't do anything with it.
Well, that's the thing, because in my opinion, with this one, I felt like they regressed on the mixing. So it could have just been we listened to, because I think Roadrunner also re-released this one, if I'm not mistaken.
I just listen to whatever one is currently available. So.
Are you on Spotify or Apple?
I listen to YouTube, so that's.
Oh, okay. Well, that's weird.
Yeah, that
On
literally,
Spotify.
I technically have all the varieties at my fingertips.
I mean, I would assume it's the same version on Spotify and Apple, but
Apple does do different compression. And that does affect the sound. So, not that you could tell with the speakers shoved directly into your ears, but it is there. It's subtle.
Yeah. For anyone still watching this video at this point, I will say this, from the albums I was familiar with, not to do any super spoilers here, this was the album that I wasn't a huge fan of that I knew from Nickelback.
yeah, I wasn't a fan of this one. The color code will tell all.
Oh, it does every time.
All right, well, up next, Silver Side Up. This is their big breakthrough What year was it? 2000?
2001.
2001.
Yeah,
Roadrunner.
it has a fun release date.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It does. It does.
Oh, it's got a great release date.
Oh, all right. Stick around, like,
There's another album that
subscribe.
was released that day that I'm feeling really hard right now.
Yeah. Makeshift Patriot. Shout out Sage Francis. Come back and join us again. I'm sure you're watching us still. Uh, be safe and make what, Bill?
Good decisions.
I can't